think it played out the way it's supposed to play out. We were in control of our own destiny, and we didn't take care of that. But Sacramento isn't a bad place. 16 other teams are going there, right? 16 other teams are going there, so we're good.
Welcome onto the sideline, everybody. Matt Dowell and Jared Parker are with you for a very special episode because Jared, it's here. Bum, 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 bum. Get the trumpets ready. The bracket has been revealed. Today's show is going to be so much fun. If you are a basketball nerd like Jared and I think you're going to like this one because we are going to do a full bracket breakdown of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. What we're going to do on the show to give you guys a rundown, because it's going to be a lot of conversation, but good conversation. We're talking full on hoops. First, the bracket has been revealed. We're filming this it's past 11 o'clock on Sunday night, Selection Sunday. We just got back from South Carolina's selection show party. And so shout out to you, Jared. Shout out to Marcus, our director, for staying up late on this Sunday to get this episode out as soon as we can. But what we're going to do on this episode is we're going to talk specifically South Carolina women's basketball and their region first. We're going to give our thoughts on the Gamecocks, since that is what our podcast is about, and specifically talk about them. And then after we hear from Don Staley and some of the Gamecock freshmen that we got to talk to at today's selection show party, we are going to go just like we did at the SEC tournament. But Jared, this is like times 10. Jared and I are going to go through every single game, and we're going to pick our bracket in real time.
Yes.
I wanted to be cool like podcasts who don't see the bracket first and then pick it, but because of our jobs, we do know the matchups. We do know.
To be honest, I don't know about you, but I haven't had a great look at it yet.
No.
I left straight from the Selection Sunday straight to do the news. So I really, this is my first time really looking at it.
So Jared did our newscast tonight, then we're sitting here doing this podcast. So it has been a full and fulfilling Selection Sunday for us. And there are a lot of teams from the state of South Carolina in the big dance this year. We've got South Carolina women, Clemson women, which we'll talk about in a little bit, or they will be here in Columbia in a few days. We've got the Charleston women are in it, and then Clemson men and the Furman men are on it. So 5 teams from our state are in the big dance, which is a lot of fun. But let's get into it, Jared. First, we are going to start with South Carolina women's basketball and just give you guys our thoughts on their region in particular. And it's no surprise, Jared, that South Carolina is the 4th number 1 seed at this year's tournament, and they are in the Sacramento 4 region, which is pretty much what we expected after the SEC tournament championship. And that means that if South Carolina wins their first and second round games, which will be at Colonial Life Arena here in Columbia, they will head on out to Sacramento, California for their Sweet 16 and Elite 8 matchups. So Jared, first of all, are you surprised at all? I don't think the number 1 seeds are surprising.
No, I'm not surprised.
No,
it went about routine.
Yeah, this season really has been the top 4 and then everybody else. That's been the theme of the year. So I think the number 1 seeds are huge favorites to get to the Final Four. It's going to be about, can anybody knock them off? And it's the same 4 teams from last year's Final Four. So are we going to see a repeat? We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but let's look at South Carolina's region. It was a great time at the selection show party. It was at the Columbia Museum of Art. It was a paid event, which I know some people were not happy about, but we're in the age of NIL, so it was a change of pace from the days of, free to the public at Colonial Life Arena. But it was a great time, Jared. Yeah. Good vibes there. Lisa Leslie was in the house, which was fun. She asked us where the what the Wi-Fi was. It was thrilling. Cool. It was thrilling. It's funny. She was minding her business, and we all let her mind her business because she deserves that. But when she asked, "Hey, does anyone know the Wi-Fi?" Literally everyone in the room jumped up. Was like, "Hey, I got it." So that was a fun moment today because we all geeked out at Lisa Leslie being in the room with us. But it was good vibes, and it's been a while since South Carolina had to wait that long, Jared, to hear their name called. But once Sacramento 4 came up, South Carolina was that first name. Of course, the Gamecocks, the SEC regular season champs, 31-3 on the season. Texas got that third number 1 as expected after the SEC tournament championship. So let's go through South Carolina's bracket. Jared, they're going to start against a number 16 seed, but we actually don't know South Carolina's opponent yet because On Thursday at Colonial Life Arena, there will be a play-in game between Southern and Samford, which are 16 seeds. And South Carolina will start on Saturday at 1 p.m., which is a change of pace. We are used to South Carolina having the Friday-Sunday duo, but this year it's going to be Saturday-Monday. And according to this bracket, the Sweet 16 will then be on Saturday, March 28th, and the Elite 8, if South Carolina makes it that far, will be on Monday, March 30th. So it's going to be a Saturday-Monday year for the Gamecocks. So South Carolina has Southern and Samford as their 16. And then it gets a little interesting, Jared, because Clemson is the 8th seed in their region, an in-state rivalry. And Clemson and South Carolina in men's or women's basketball have never played in the NCAA tournament. So we could be witnessing some history in a few days. But Clemson plays Southern California, the other USC, who's the 9th seed. Jazzy Davidson and the Trojans coming to the CLA. That is a very interesting first round. I don't know who I'm going to pick in that one yet, but that is going to be at 3:30 on Saturday after South Carolina plays their 16 seed. South Carolina will be the huge, huge favorite to get to that second round. I'm interested to know who you guys are going to pick for that Clemson Southern Cal matchup because that one's interesting. Clemson, sneaky good, and I'm shocked that they're an 8 seed. I thought they'd be a 9 or 10. 8 is higher than I think most of us thought. So good for the Tigers. And then when you go down the bracket, Michigan State is the 5, Colorado State the 12, and then the committee got even messier. Not only did they put the in-state rival in South Carolina's region, they put the 4th seeded Oklahoma Sooners in their Sweet 16, and Oklahoma going to open up against the 13th seed Idaho, who is 29-5 on the season, so could be tricky, but Oklahoma, of course, the only other team other than Texas to beat South Carolina this year. Messy, Jared. Messy. But also, I want to watch it. So they know what they're doing and making good TV. And then when we go to the bottom half of the Sacramento 4 region, we have Washington as the 6, South Dakota State as the 11. That's an interesting matchup to me. And then as expected, TCU is the 3 seed. They will open up against the 14th seeded UC San Diego. Georgia is the 7 seed in South Carolina's region, and they will face the winner of a play-in game between 10th seeded Virginia and 10th seeded Arizona State. So Georgia also doesn't know who their first round opponent is just yet. And then also, as expected, Iowa is the 2 seed in South Carolina's region, and they will open up against Fairleigh Dickinson, who is 30-4 on the year. So Jared, look, we'll get into the other regions first. But Jared, I think South Carolina has to be happy with this. And I think, arguably, and people can disagree with this, arguably, I think South Carolina maybe got the best region of the 1 seeds.
Yeah, I think absolutely. When you look at, for example, a 2 seed, of the 2 seeds, I'd rather Iowa out of the 2 seeds represented.
Agreed.
Even with the 4 seeds, maybe you can argue that, there's some better, or that Oklahoma's better than some of the other 4 seeds. But that's a little bit different because you're familiar with Oklahoma, and maybe there's an added aspect of revenge. I don't know how big it'll be, considering that revenge isn't really that big of a deal. You're playing for a national championship. You got to want to win anyway. But you've got a lot of familiarity in this bracket, which I'd have to think makes them somewhat more comfortable going into this thing.
Agreed. I think it's good for the team. As a viewer, I'm kind of bummed that we're getting some rematches.
Yeah.
I like different matchups in the tournament. So for South Carolina in particular, I kind of wanted to see different people in the region, but also it is what it is, and South Carolina knows what to expect. But I agree. I think Iowa is the 2 that they wanted. They weren't going to get LSU or Vandy because they didn't want an SEC team as their 2 seed, so it was really going to come down between Michigan. I thought Duke was going to be a 2 seed. We'll talk about that in a little bit, or Iowa. But I think Iowa is a good one because they're a team that can be tricky and they can beat anybody, but they also can have bad days and they can lose to anybody.
Their bad days are bad.
Their bad days are bad. They got beat by 50 in the Big Ten championship to UCLA. So for South Carolina, I think this region is very kind. And I think of all when you look at the other side of the bracket, I know they're on UConn's side, but when you look at the other threats, UCLA, Duke, LSU, Texas, Louisville, Kentucky, Michigan, they're all on the other side. Yeah. They're all on the other side. I mean, Vandy's here. Ohio State can be tricky. Of course, UConn, Oklahoma. But to me, other than UConn, all of their biggest threats on the other side. And I think I mean, look, you're going to have to beat good teams to win the NCAA tournament, so you can't avoid everybody. But I think it's a very, very kind bracket. Jared, what stands out to you when you look at South Carolina's region?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Other than the Oklahoma.
That 8-9 right there. It's interesting, like you said, because I think we're all kind of surprised. I wonder what the committee valued to put Clemson number 8.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about it. Even Sean Poppy said he was expecting 9 or 10. So when the head coach of the team is like, hey, I'm surprised with how high they were ranked, it's definitely interesting. So I'd love to hear, I guess, what the reasoning there was, because I don't hate it. I love it for drama purposes, but it's a little bit interesting, especially I think even the opponent they play, Southern Cal, probably should have been above Clemson. You could argue, but that's the most interesting thing.
I think that's the most interesting matchup in this section, but I'm interested to see how South Carolina navigates this, because again, familiar opponents, but tricky opponents. I've said that they have a kind region, but that doesn't mean that it's quote unquote easy. I think it's the kindest bracket, but everybody in this is a good team that South Carolina is going to have to be ready for. But again, they get started on Saturday at 1 o'clock against the winner of that 16-seeded play-in game, and then they will play the winner of Clemson Southern Cal on Monday at the CLA, with that time still to be determined. But I think if you're South Carolina, you got to be pretty happy with how this has shook out. Whatever you want to say. Shooketh out. But Jared, anything else you want to add about South Carolina's bracket before we hear from Don Staley and Agot McKeer?
Let's hear from the head honcho.
Let's hear from the head honcho, who did say she likes the familiarity. And when it comes to, there are rematches, but the rules are they don't have anyone in conference before the Sweet 16. So that's why you won't see any conference rematches in those first or second rounds, but it's kind of hard to avoid with the way the landscape is changing. It's hard to avoid everybody. So Don Staley talking about the bracket being the fourth number 1 seed. Clemson and Southern Cal coming to Columbia, and also Agot McKeer talking to us about what the freshmen are feeling as they get ready for their first NCAA tournament.
I think it played out the way it's supposed to play out. We were in control of our own destiny, and we didn't take care of that. But Sacramento isn't a bad place. 16 other teams are going there, right? 16 other teams are going there, so we're good. It's real common, for USC and Clemson, and it's not to look past the first round, but we played both of them. It's some familiarity, so that helps a little bit, and I know we haven't played both of them in a long time, but it's good to have some familiarity with whatever team that comes out of that, and if we come out of it.
I think we were super excited, anxious. We had an option. We were going to be 3 or 4, and we knew that. So just waiting, it was super exciting.
So we will have detailed podcast episodes every single day during this NCAA tournament. Get ready for a lot of content, everybody. Starting on Friday, we'll have a preview of the first round, an episode previewing the first round. Saturday, a recap. Sunday, a preview of the second round. Monday, a recap episode, and that pattern will continue as long as South Carolina is in the tournament. So shout out to all of our new subscribers, all of our new followers, because our podcast is growing by the day, Jared. It's been really fun to see everybody joining the party here on the sideline. So now let's geek out, Jared, shall we? Jared and I are going to do a full bracket breakdown of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. We're going to go through every single game and make our picks, and I think we're going to do it a region at a time to make it easier for those watching and especially for those listening to us to be like, okay, where are we in the bracket? So we're going to start with the play-in games, and then we'll do all of Fort Worth 1, and then we'll kind of do all of Sacramento 2, and then we'll go from there. Does that make sense to everybody? So make it easier to follow. Let's start with the play-in games, and we're going to start with the one that's here in Columbia, and this will be on Thursday at 7 o'clock on ESPN2, and that is between Southern and Samford. So Southern come into Columbia with a 19-13 record, and Samford will be here with actually a losing record on the season, but they are in the tournament, conference champs. And Jared, I love the 16 battles because I'm going to be honest with y'all. us at Watch Fox, we have the best sports coverage in the Midlands. We do the most detailed. We give everybody the attention they deserve. So we every year try and get to know these 16 seeds as best as we can. They all have such great stories. They're always so happy to be here.
Yes,
and
always willing to talk.
Always willing to talk because they don't get talked to a lot, which is unfortunate. But we try and give them those opportunities. But also, they're always so grateful to be at Colonial Life Arena because it is seen as one of the meccas of the women's game. So for them to get a chance to play on that court is huge for them. But Jared, when you look at this first play-in game between Southern and Samford, who you got?
Man, I know Southern seems like the obvious pick, but I love a team that's catching fire at the right time. So I'm gonna go with Samford.
You are?
Yeah, let's. I'd love to see them catch another win. I don't think they'll end up with a 500 record on the year, obviously, but I'd love to see them get another one. They're hot at the right time.
Okay, Jared's going Samford. I'm going to go Southern. I'm going to go with the one that has the winning record and looks more confident to me. I'm going to be honest. I do watch a lot of the games. I have not gotten to watch either of these teams play yet, so I'm excited to go to the CLA on Thursday and check them out. But just resume-wise, I'm going to go Southern. And then the next play-in game, Jared, is going to be in Austin, which is in the Texas Regional. This is also a 16-seed battle between Missouri State, who's 22-12 on the year, and Stephen F. Austin? Is that? Yes, Stephen F. Austin that has SFA.
Which they have said to stop abbreviating them as SFA.
I was gonna say, I was like, in the moment, I gotta improvise. But Stephen F. Austin is in this one. This is a tricky one though. 25-9, a 22-12 Missouri State. Jared, who you got in this one?
I think I'm going with Missouri State here.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oof, I don't know. We're going opposite which is more fun, right?
That is more fun.
I'm gonna go Stephen F. Austin, and I'm gonna have them, play Texas in Austin. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
That'd be fun. The next play-in game is a 10-seeded battle between the Virginia Cavaliers and Arizona State, who's back in the big dance for the first time in a few years under a new head coach. They're 24-10. They're fun to watch. Virginia, though, also sneaky good. I like Molly too. This is a tough play-in game, Jared.
It is.
I don't know. Who are you going with in this one?
I'm going with Molly. I'm joining the hype train. I love what she's doing at Arizona State. I think, obviously, I'm sure they would have loved to be higher ranked in their first year with her. But, I mean, she brings winning wherever she goes, and I think this will be a good first-year start.
This is a 10-seeded battle again, and then this will be played in Iowa State with the winner to play Georgia. Virginia's good, but Jared, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Arizona State here. I'm going to go, they've got some good momentum right now as well, which also means a lot going into March. The final play-in game is going to be played in Durham up in Duke country, and that will be between Nebraska, who's been a top 25 team at multiple points in the season, and Richmond, who also has had a really good year. Jared, this is a tough one. The winner of this will play Baylor in the first round. Jared, I'm going to go Richmond. I'm picking the Spiders.
We're matching there.
All right.
I'm going Richmond too. I've watched them a couple times this season.
They're good.
They have some fun. Some fun.
They're a lot of fun. Okay, so all of our play-in games are in. So, Jared, let's start with Fort Worth 1. We're going to start with UConn, who is the number 1 overall seed, 34-0. They will also open up on Saturday, which I'm not going to get on a soapbox a lot in this episode because we got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
3 number 1 seeds are playing on Saturday, which I don't understand. Texas opens on Friday, but UConn, UCLA, and South Carolina all playing on Saturday, which is kind of strange to me, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. But UConn will open up against UTSA, who is 18-15 on the year. But Jared, I don't think we need to discuss this one very much. I think we both are going to go UConn here.
Yes.
UConn probably going to cruise through that one, and then Jared, this first round game, when they revealed this, my antennas went up. We have 8-seeded Iowa State and 9th-seeded Syracuse. That's a good first round. Syracuse is sneaky good. I love their head coach, who used to be at Buffalo a few years ago. Iowa State, Jared, they have such an interesting story. I was actually kind of rooting for Iowa State to come to Columbia because I love watching Audie Crooks play, and I really wanted to see her up close and personal and just get to watch her play as a fan of the sport. So kind of bummed that they didn't get to come to Columbia.
Had it been any other 8 seed but Clemson, I would have been really sad. But
agreed.
I think we got something for our troubles, I guess.
Iowa State is such an interesting story, Jared, because they were ranked in the top 10 at one point in the season. And this is not in a rude way. This is just my real honest thoughts. I cannot think of a team that was so exciting and so relevant to the overall conversation when the season started that just dove off a cliff
Yeah.
and became kind of irrelevant to the conversation.
They fell off that cliff fast.
I mean, in November, December, Iowa State, the Cyclones, Audie Crooks everywhere. I mean, they were exciting. I love watching them play, and I know they had injuries and things, but it has been rough since then. I know they're 22-9, but they were like 12-13-0 or something at one point in the season. So it's been kind of back and forth for the much of January and February. So, but this is a very, very tough first round. Jared, who you got?
I think I'm trusting in the seeding for this round, which
Are you?
Which I will betray that trust later on, but we'll trust in the seeding. I love Audie Crooks, and I think a player like her that can score will be incredible to have in this first round. Obviously, as you go through several rounds of play, that ability might fade and wane, but round one, I think she'll come out strong, and they'll follow her.
I want Iowa State for the storyline of watching them play UConn, but Jared, I'm going to go Cuse. I am a Cuse alum, but that is not clouding my judgment. I'm going to pick Syracuse. I think they're sneaky good, and I don't know. I'm going to pick Syracuse in this one. Next up is the 5-seeded Maryland, who maybe is feeling a little snubbed that they're not getting to host. Maryland has a pretty good resume. They'll take on Murray State, Jared, the 12-seed, who is 31-3, and I know they're a 12-seed, but any team that's won 31 games, you got to take seriously. This is
dangerous in any tournament.
And Jared, it's hard not to pick upsets, but it's also because it's been a year in which everyone after the top four is all over the place. Yeah. I'm trying not, I don't want to make it chalky, but also it's tough. Where do you pick the upsets?
Yes.
Where do you pick, the seeds to go with? But who you got with Maryland and Murray State? Because Maryland dealing with some injuries this year, but still a really, really tough team.
Got to go with Brenda Fries in Maryland. Yeah. Championship coach.
Yeah, I'm going Maryland as well in that one.
Terps.
And then Maryland is in the same section as maybe the team that they feel like they got snubbed by, and that is the 4th-seeded North Carolina Tar Heels. I am surprised, Jared. I'm not surprised, but I am surprised. I do have North Carolina in my rankings in the top 16, but I think resume-wise, I think Maryland's is better than North Carolina. UNC is the 4th-seed in this region. They're 26-7, but their only really great win is over Duke. And in these past couple of weeks, I think Maryland's resume is stronger, but the committee giving that nod to North Carolina, who maybe has ended the season better, which maybe was the difference. North Carolina had a strong end to the regular season, but the Tar Heels are the 4 seed in this region, and they will open up against the 13th seeded Western Illinois, who's 26-5. So this could also be a tricky opener for the Tar Heels. Jared, I am going to pick the Tar Heels here, though.
They'll be able to hash out Maryland will be able to hash out their grievances.
As we continue in this one of the more interesting maybe first round games in this one is 6-seeded Notre Dame, who kind of changing the narrative a little bit, Jared, because there was a while I was like, is this team going to make the tournament?
Yeah.
They've ended the season really strong. Almost beat Duke in the ACC tournament semis. They're back in the top 25. They're a 6 seed, which I think is a huge accomplishment considering where they were just a couple months ago. But they have Fairfield in the first round, an 11 seed who's 28-4. Fairfield, sneaky good. This could be tricky. This could be a possible upset. Jared, what do you think?
Do I
be bold?
It's to your point, like as you mentioned, Notre Dame. They started the season with so much hype. I think.
Yeah.
Hannah Hidalgo. Yeah, you're gonna start that way. But I really like the way they've recovered their season. I think they've played well in the latter half of the year, and I think that carries into March. Obviously, Fairfield's played well all year, which also carries well into March. As much as I'd want to pick an upset, I just can't right here.
I want to so badly. What do I do, everyone? Do I pick an upset? It's a player like Hannah is a game changer.
Yes.
She just does everything. She scores, she assists, she steals, she blocks,
and when
she
she's
rebounds.
at her best, there's few comparable to
They're
her.
they're playing well at the moment. Oh, I want to do it so badly, Jared. This is gonna be one of those. If Fairfield does win this game, I'm gonna be kicking myself.
I know,
asking why I did not pick Fairfield to win. I'm gonna pick Notre Dame though, just because of the way that they have ended the season.
Yeah.
Up next is Ohio State, the 3 seed, who I think is also a team that's kind of gone under the radar this season. The Buckeyes, 26-7 on the year. They've they have played, though, like UCLA, they've played them tough this year. They lost twice, but they were competitive games. They've lost to Michigan, but they're competitive games. Like Ohio State is competitive.
Yes.
And so they open against Howard, who is also a really good team, 26-7. Howard is the 14 seed in this section. Jared, who you going with here? This is a tough region, by the way.
I'm going with Ohio State, but shout out Howard, MEAC sweep, both on the men's and women's side, so got to give them their props for that, but got to go with the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I'm going Ohio State as well. This, first of all, UConn got kind of a tough region. I mean, these are some good teams in their section. Right now, okay, so we're going on to Illinois, who is the 7 seed in UConn section, opening up against Colorado. Both Illinois 21-11, Colorado 22-11. Jared, I'm going upset here. I do think Illinois is really good, but I'm going to pick Colorado in this matchup.
It's
I'm
so
going the 10
interesting because, like, before you ever said that, I'm already like, yeah, I'm going Colorado.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So,
Jared and I spend too much time together.
we
That's
do. I'm being influenced just subtly throughout the weeks.
Right. And then as we close out the first round of Fort Worth 1, we have Vanderbilt, who is the 2 seed, taking on High Point. I think Vanderbilt's a little underseeded. This kind of tells me that they're the number 8 overall seed. I think they're better than that. And also, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I really was pulling for UConn LSU just because I wanted to see fireworks in that Elite 8 matchup. And I'm really tired of seeing UCLA and LSU play each other in the NCAA tournament. So I was hoping for some change there. But Vandy is the 2 seed, Jared. They're having a great year. It was a nightmare at the SEC tournament. So we'll see if they can bounce back from that or if that will continue. But that was a bad day at the office for Vanderbilt, but they opened up against High Point, the 15 seed, who's 27-5. But I expect Vandy to cruise through this. Vandy has not lost at home, by the way, this entire season, so they are tough to beat in Nashville. I'm assuming you're going to Vandy as well.
I'm going Vandy.
Yeah. This guy is like Michaela Blake's. He's like she's must-see TV for Jared Parker. He's been on the Michaela train since beginning of last season when she started her freshman year. All right, in the second round, Jared, I have UConn and Syracuse. You have UConn, Iowa State. Who you got?
I think we'll both have UConn after this.
UConn.
It's so hard to pick against them.
It is. I got UConn going to the Sweet 16, and then we both have Maryland, UNC.
This is my hardest pick for the second round.
Give me Brenda Freeze. I'm going Maryland.
Yeah, I'm going Maryland, but I don't know. It's like you said, UNC they've played well at the end. But
don't look at me.
For me, my biggest issue with picking them is they have signature losses, like where they have like good losses.
Yeah.
But like they don't have enough wins that make me comfortable enough in picking them in a round 2 game against Maryland. So I'm going Maryland.
You're going Maryland. All right. Then we have Notre Dame and Ohio State. This one is one that's tough. I think Ohio State has too much depth for Notre Dame. It's going to get to a point where Hannah's not going to be able to beat a team by herself. And frankly, the supporting cast against strong opponents, I don't think is going to be enough for Notre Dame to get the win personally. So I'm going to pick Ohio State here.
Yeah, I really like Ohio State here as well.
Kylie Kidd's, by the way, on this team.
Yes.
Chloe's younger sister.
And Ohio State, they look good in the Big Ten tournament. Like even leading up to that loss against UCLA, like their defense was solid.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to really give Notre Dame some struggles.
Up next, we both have Colorado versus Vanderbilt, but who you got?
I got Vandy there.
Yeah, I got Vandy going there too. I think Vanderbilt is going to be too much. This is tough. These are some good Sweet 16s right here. I'm telling you, UConn got a tough bracket.
Yeah.
UConn, and we both have UConn, Maryland. Look, UConn's the favorite in this game, but Gino versus Brenda. Come on now.
Yeah.
Maryland's a tough out in the tournament, too. Every year. We saw them. They played South Carolina really well in the Sweet 16 last year. So I need Maryland. I know they've had so many injuries, but I'm like, I need them to get out of this 4 or 5 range. I need, because I feel like they're always better than that. It's tough to pick against UConn.
Agreed.
It's tough in this matchup. But that could be interesting. If Maryland is playing well, that could be interesting. And then, Jared, we both have Ohio State. Vandy.
I'm going Buckeyes.
You're going Buckeyes?
I'm going Buckeyes.
That's not a bad pick.
Yeah.
Ohio State has played people really well this year, and they have played well in the Big Ten.
I mean, I think it's really interesting to see how Vandy will look, assuming they make it through.
They got a lot of pressure on them now, yeah.
Because they have a lot to make up for, I think, from that SEC tournament. But if the funk continues, I could see Ohio State just taking advantage of that.
Look, we talk a lot about Michaela Blake's, and rightfully so, but a player that's maybe very underrated on the national stage is Jelani Cambridge. She is so good. Arguably should have been the Big Ten Player of the Year. I know Lauren Betts won that award, and that's also a great win. But Jelani is so good, and she makes this team run. And so you want to see some elite guard play. Ohio State versus Vandy is going to give that to you because Jelani can play, Michaela can play, and that will be a fun one. Jared, you're going to Ohio State?
I am.
I don't like being chalky, but I'm going to go Vanderbilt. I think Michaela will get it done, but I would not be surprised if Ohio State got to this Elite Eight. I think that they have been underrated all season long, but I'm going to go Vandy. UConn. Okay. Oh, well, we'll finish out this region. So you have UConn, Ohio State. Yes. I've got UConn, Vanderbilt. I'm picking UConn to get to the Final Four.
They're just such a strong team.
They are. They're so strong. They have so much depth.
Yeah.
Vandy, a team that doesn't have a ton of depth, and you just wonder when will that hurt them, because in a game like Ole Miss, when Michaela's not hitting her shots, it's a disaster, and so Michaela's going to have to be on point during this tournament.
And you just kind of have to assume with Vandy, like in a tournament where you have 6 rounds of play, you're not going to be on fire for all 6 games. And you're probably going to cool down in one of those latter half games of the tournament.
Oh, Ohio State's not a bad pick. Oh, I'm already regretting my choices. Okay, let's move on to Sacramento 2. And that is where UCLA, who did have an argument to be the number 1 overall seed, but they got the number 2 overall, but they're the number 1 in Sacramento 2. And the Bruins will open up against Cal Baptist in the first round on Saturday. But Jared, I think we both will be picking UCLA there, unless you have like the mother of all upsets. UCLA has so many quad 1 wins this year. Truly incredible. Like, shout out to Corey Close for the schedule they put together. This team, who I think is better than last year. I mean, they had a great season. They ran through the Big Ten, which is not easy. And so the Bruins are going to be a tough out. They have a lot of depth. They have a lot of different types of players. They're skilled at every position. UCLA is really, really good. And because they're, on the West Coast Big Ten, maybe everyone in South, I don't know how much people have paid attention to them on a whole. I feel like they've kind of quietly gone through the season, but man, UCLA is good. In their 8-9 matchup is Oklahoma State and Princeton, which is interesting. Oklahoma State's the 8 seed, Princeton the Ivy League champs, the number 9 seed. Princeton 26-3 on the year, Oklahoma State 23-9. Jared, what are you picking here?
I've got Princeton here.
Oh, Jared, we think too much alike. I'm also picking Princeton for the minor upset. I'm kind of one. I don't know how much I consider 9 and 8 as upsets, but I'm picking Princeton as well. Also, can I just say the number 1 overall seed conversation? I like the conversation, but we were talking before the show. I kind of think if you're a number 1 seed, like, I don't really care who goes where, to be honest with you, because like all the number 2s are good. All the number 1s are good. To me, if you're a number 1 seed, like, you're the number 1 seed in your bracket, and if you make it to the Final Four, it's game on from there. Like, you're gonna have to beat good teams, whether or not you're with UConn in the Final Four, or the championship, or UCLA in the Final Four. Like, to me, it's like, once you get to Phoenix, it's game on. But to me, being a number 1 is important. I understand the arguments for it, but like, to me, UConn and UCLA are both the heavy favorites to get to the Final Four. They were going to be on opposite sides no matter what.
Plus, it's like you mentioned earlier, because the committee does have to avoid placing conference teams together. It's like their 2 seed pool was already limited. I mean, they with UCLA, they weren't going to have Michigan
or
Iowa, so they have 2 SEC teams. South Carolina or Texas wasn't going to have either of those, so it's like,
it's tough.
Your 2 seed was probably going to be that team anyway.
So I like the conversation that surrounds all the conversation around the tournament time, because I love bracket breakdowns. But like, to me, if you're number 1, you're number 1, and you're good. In that sense. Okay. Ole Miss is the 5 seed in this section, which they just got to the SEC tournament semis. They're a team that can beat anybody on any given day, and they're opening up against 12 seed Gonzaga. Give me the Rebels here. I love Coach Yo, and I love this Ole Miss team. When they are good, Jared, when they're clicking, They tough.
And
They tough.
I like the video during Selection Sunday when they got selected. Cody McMahon, she was like ice
Oh, was
cold.
she? Oh, I didn't see that.
She was sitting there. She's ready to go.
Okay.
She was not like
She's a competitor.
She's ready to go.
Cody, so good. The SEC newcomer of the year. And then we got Minnesota, who I had someone at the selection show tonight say, has anyone watched Minnesota this year? And I said, yes, I have watched Minnesota. And Minnesota quietly had a great season. They had a great Big Ten. They played great in the Big Ten Conference. 22-8 on the year. Have had an exciting season. Jared, I think they're a bit underrated, and good on them for getting a hosting gig. So Ole Miss will go to Minneapolis, and Minnesota, the 4 seed in this region. Green Bay, the 13. Green Bay's a 25-8 team.
I'm going Minnesota.
I'm taking Minnesota, but that could be interesting, that Green Bay matchup.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have Baylor as the 6, and they will take on the winner of the Nebraska-Richmond game, which I picked Richmond. So I have Baylor and Richmond. Who did you pick? Richmond?
I had Richmond.
You had Richmond as well. Ooh, that could be tricky. Baylor's also a team that can lose to anybody.
Yeah.
And they're a team that can beat anybody as well. Jared, you know what? I'm going to make a bold move here. I'm going to pick Richmond.
I like that. I like that pick.
I'm going to pick Richmond to upset Baylor in the first round.
And I don't think it's out of reason.
I don't think
to
so
make
either.
that pick.
Heck yeah. Come on, Richmond.
Baylor. I'm going Baylor.
You're going Baylor.
But I don't dislike that pick at all.
I don't like the way Baylor ended the year. Richmond tricky, and you know what? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But also, we got to pick some upsets because I don't want everything to be chalky on my end. Ooh, and then we have, this is a fun one, Jared. We have Duke, a 3 seed. Okay, Duke got screwed. I'm just gonna say it. Duke should have been a 2 seed in my opinion. They won the ACC regular season. They won the ACC tournament. I don't care. I'm going to be honest. I don't care about the non-con at this point. Like they're 26-8. That is not that different from anybody else at this point in the season. I think Duke should have been rewarded for winning the ACC regular season and tournament. They won both, and I think they should have been a 2 seed. I think Duke has a right to be mad at their seeding.
100%.
Anyway, they're a 3 seed, and they will open up against the College of Charleston, Jared. So our friends down in the Low Country going to Durham to take on the Blue Devils. College of Charleston, 27-5, an exciting team to watch.
Conference
and
champs.
They're conference champs, and they get the ACC champs in the first round. And they get to play at Cameron Indoor, which is going to be an awesome experience for them. I don't think Charleston will win this game, but I'm excited to watch them play.
Me too.
And I'm excited for them to have this opportunity because they are a really, really fun team to watch. But I will pick Duke. Wait, who did you? Oh, you picked Baylor. You said that.
Baylor,
so you have Duke, Baylor. I have
Duke.
Duke, Richmond. I think that's my boldest choice so far. I might regret it, but also, don't we all have regrets when it comes to bracketology?
Yes.
Next up is Texas Tech, who's as the 7 seed in UCLA's region. Texas Tech had a really good start to the season, kind of teetered out a little bit towards the end. They lost their first game in the Big 12 tournament. They will open up against Villanova, the 10 seed, who has been the second best team in the Big East this year. They got to the Big East tournament championship against UConn, got whooped, but also so did everyone else. But Villanova, sneaky good team. This is an interesting matchup, and this will be played in Baton Rouge as part of LSU's little mini regional. So, Jared, who you got between the Red Raiders and the Villanova Wildcats?
I don't know if it's just because of the strength of UConn, but it's hard for me to pick Big East teams.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, watching UConn beat everyone, it's convinced me of how good UConn is, but I also kind of feel like, well, maybe these other teams aren't as good as maybe another 25-7 team would be. So I'm going with Texas Tech because of that.
I am going to pick Villanova.
Okay.
I'm going to go Nova in this one. Give me the 10 over the 7.
I like that.
And then to close out this regional will be LSU, who is the 2 seed in this regional, and they will open up against Jacksonville, who's 24-8 on the year. I have to say, LSU, if there's a 1 seed, if there's a team not in the number 1 seeds that is going to make it to the Final Four, I think LSU has the best chance. I think all of their losses have been good losses. I think they've all been competitive. And I think Kim Mulkey is always tournament ready. So I think if there's a team that's maybe going to shock everybody, and of the 2 seeds, they also have the most experience of any of these 2 seeds teams. You got Flage, you got Michaela, you have Malaysia, players that have been in big games. And so watch out for LSU because they are so talented, and I think they're going to be ready to go, although I am so tired of UCLA and LSU being in the same region. This is 3 years in a row. So I wanted a difference there, just bracket interest-wise, but I don't make the bracket. So I'm going LSU over Jacksonville.
Same here.
All right, so we both have UCLA Princeton. That'll be fun, but UCLA is going to be too much.
Gotcha there. I'm taking UCLA as well.
UCLA to the Sweet 16. Ole Miss,
Yes.
Minnesota.
That's fun.
Who you got?
I'm taking Ole Miss.
I'm taking Ole Miss, too.
I love them.
Give me Ole Miss. Ole Miss and
SEC
Minneapolis.
tournament. Yes.
I'm picking, UCLA Ole Miss could be interesting as well. I have Richmond and Duke, but I think Duke will go to the Sweet 16.
And I have Duke
Man,
over
and
Baylor.
This is when I start questioning all my decisions because I'm like, I feel like I'm picking mostly top seeds, and in a year where there have been so many upsets every single week, like so many. So like, is it going to be chalky this year? Is it going to be a lot of upsets? Kadisha told me she thought there would be a lot of upsets this year. Okay. So, but just because of the way the season has been, because it's every year after the top 4, we don't know what's going on, so, but will the bracket, protect some people?
Yes.
We will see. And then you have, sorry, to get back on track. So we both have Duke going to the Sweet 16.
Yes.
And then I have Villanova, LSU. I'm picking LSU here.
I have LSU, Texas Tech. LSU is not losing in Baton Rouge.
No, they're not. Those are good
happening.
matchups for them. UCLA and Ole Miss. Here's the thing about Ole Miss. They know how to make things hard for teams. They have the inside presence to challenge teams. It's just really all about the three-point shooting for me, and UCLA is going to have that. Yeah. They have elite guards. Not that, Ole Miss does not. Cody is going to do her thing, but they don't shoot and make a ton of three-pointers. So, but it could be interesting. Ole Miss is one of those teams. They've beaten really good teams.
Yes.
They've had some bad losses this year. It's like, which Ole Miss team is going to show up in this tournament? Is the question.
Yeah, and even like Ole Miss looking, when they catch fire, they catch fire. Like that third quarter against Texas, even though they lost, it had us there for a moment thinking, is Ole Miss about to do this thing?
Yeah.
And just go all the way with it against Texas. They didn't, but when they catch fire, they catch fire.
Like Ole Miss, this could be an upset if Ole Miss plays well and tries to muck it up defensively like they can do. I'm gonna pick UCLA. But Ole Miss is a team, when they're playing well, that can challenge anybody. But I'm going to pick UCLA to the Elite 8.
I'm picking UCLA as well. They're so good everywhere, and I think even if Ole Miss makes it really tough, they're just so good that I think they can withstand what Ole Miss throws at them.
It's honestly, it's really hard to pick against any of these number 1 seeds because they've all been so dominant this year. And then we both have Duke, LSU. They did play in the non-con at Duke. LSU won that game pretty convincingly in my mind, remembers that correctly. But Duke obviously a lot better now than they were in, I think that was early December. It was the ACC SEC Challenge. And then this game would be played in Sacramento. This could be interesting. You got the ACC champs against a very, very talented LSU team. Who you got?
I don't know. This is a really fun Sweet 16 game. It almost feels like this should not be a Sweet 16 game. It feels like this is maybe too good for a Sweet 16.
South Carolina, please make it to the Sweet 16 because this is in Sacramento and this would be on an opposite day of South Carolina, and I would really like to go to these games.
Ooh, I wasn't even thinking about.
So I would really love to go see UCLA, Ole Miss, and Duke, LSU in person and not have to work that day. So that would be fun. But Jared, who you got?
That makes it interesting.
It makes it interesting.
I got LSU. Duke has improved so much since that loss to LSU. And in general, all of their early season losses. I don't think it's the same Duke team. But I think LSU has also gotten better, and LSU has played good. And I think they're the better team overall, and they have more than Duke.
And it's really LSU's offensive firepower. When they get hot, they can just score at a rapid pace. I'm going to LSU as well. Also, we have not talked about UCLA will pretty much have home court advantage through the Elite 8. So they will be in Sacramento. They will have their home court. And then we have UCLA. We both have UCLA, LSU. And Jared, I'm going to be honest, this will be the third year in a row they've played. UCLA did give LSU some bulletin board material tonight. Corey Close was talking about, she was giving a speech at their selection show party, and she said, Lauren Betts said that this morning at breakfast that she wanted LSU as their 2. I think those are the things you keep in house. I don't know if you want LSU to know that you want them, you know, as the 2 seed, especially before, like, we're like 4 rounds out or whatever it is. I'm just saying, LSU is a Kim Mulkey team. They're gritty. They're tough. You tell them you want them, they're going to do everything they can to get to that game. So it could get interesting with UCLA LSU when you got, you know, saying we want LSU. Just a tidbit on that matchup. But who you got? I'm tempted to pick LSU.
I'm tempted as well. And I think of all the elite games, 8 games, this is my hardest to pick.
Agreed.
For sure. Because UCLA is so good, and that bulletin board material, that kind of changes things, because I do think UCLA is the better team, but again, they're familiar with each other. They've seen each other here before. LSU has a wealth of experience, and the thing is, LSU has national champions on that roster. They have a national champion head coach. This is hard.
It's hard.
This is hard.
I am going to pick UCLA simply because they're playing in California, but also LSU does not have an elite post player this year. In the past 2 years, they had an Angel Reese, they had an Issa Morrow to go up against Lauren Betts. And even, you know, last year UCLA won the game against LSU, but I think this year there's a huge difference in post play between the two teams, and I think that will ultimately be the difference. But LSU is so competitive, they are so talented, and they are a team that you have to beat. Like, they will not go down quietly. So if you pick LSU, I don't blame you, but I'm going to pick UCLA. But this is one where I'm going to be like, if LSU got to the Final Four, no part of me would be surprised. And they're playing well at the moment. LSU is playing really, really well at the moment. Who are you picking? Are you?
I'm gonna go UCLA.
Okay.
I just think you mentioned LSU's playing well, but UCLA as well. Their form as of late, I mean, they are phenomenal.
Really, really, really good. Okay, we are 2 regions down. Now we're going to go to Fort Worth 3, and that is where, Texas is the #1 seed here after winning the SEC tournament. And Jared, they will open up. Well, you picked Missouri State in that playing game. I picked Stephen F. Austin, but I don't think it matters because Texas will win their opening round.
Agreed there.
All right. And then the 8-9 matchup in this region is Oregon and Virginia Tech, which is interesting. Jared, who you got?
I'm going Oregon there.
You're going Oregon. I'm going to go Virginia Tech.
8 seed.
I'm going to go another. Do I like the 9s? Yeah, I picked all 9 seeds so far. Okay, there you go. Okay, well, you know I'm going to be wrong on one of those. And then, Jared, okay, the team that I think nobody wanted in their region is Kentucky. Because, yes, they're 23-10. But a number of those losses came when Tiana Key was not playing, when she had dislocated her elbow. You know, they went through a rough patch. This team is better than 23-10. At full strength, Kentucky is arguably a top 10 team. And I said, once we knew they weren't hosting on Saturday, I said, nobody's going to want Kentucky in their section. I think at full strength, they are a tough out. Clara Strack is so good.
Yeah.
Tony Morgan is a great point guard. Tiana Key is, you know, they have so much height. They're a dangerous floater in this section. And I think Texas is maybe looking at Kentucky like, crap, we got Kentucky. I don't think anybody wanted this, and Texas is the one who got them.
Because even in a win, they're going to challenge you.
They're going to be tough. I mean, they're going to be a tough out. Kenny Brooks, been to a Final Four before. You know, it's going to be tough. Kentucky is the 5 seed. They will open up against 12th seeded James Madison, who's 26-8 on the year. But, Jared, I'm going Kentucky here.
Same here. Wildcats.
And Kentucky will open. They will be playing in Morgantown, where West Virginia is the host school. They're the 4 seed, the Big 12 tournament champions. West Virginia, one of the best stories of the season. Remember, they beat Duke with 5 players earlier on in the season, which was incredible. They have worked their way up to a top 4 seeding. They're hosting. That place is going to be rocking. I think that fan base is going to really show up for this team, and they will open up on Saturday as well. And they're opening up against 13 seeded Miami, Ohio, who's 28-6. But Jared, give me the Mountaineers.
Yes, West Virginia all the way, Morgantown.
Man, I love watching this West Virginia team. Okay, next up is the 6-seeded Alabama Crimson Tide, who we all know from the SEC. We've watched them a lot this year. South Carolina played them twice. They open up against 11th-seeded Rhode Island, who is 28-4, has been a top 25 team, I think, this season. They've at least gotten votes. This is tricky. That's a tricky one. And I'm going Rhode Island. Sorry,
really?
Bama. I'm going Rhode Island for the upset.
Okay, I'm sticking with Bama.
Are you?
Yes, I don't know. Maybe it's
No, that's fine.
SEC bias from seeing so much
Yeah.
SEC, but
And also, we don't know the future of Chrissy Curry. She's in talks to be the next head coach at Northwestern. We'll see where
Good
that
point.
goes.
that's an interesting development there.
So we'll see what happens there. Louisville is the 3 seed.
Yes.
I'm big on this Cardinals team.
Yeah.
I think that they are so good. Both of their losses to Duke were heartbreakers, so they easily could be the ACC champs in the regular season and tournament if a couple more things went their way. But Louisville is very good. They're very dangerous, and they open up against Vermont, who is the 14 seed. So shout out. What is Vermont? Are they the Catamounts? The Catamounts?
Yes,
So shout out
yes.
to Vermont. But I will
A
be...
player I covered up in Pennsylvania committed to Vermont.
Oh, really?
Yes.
There we go. But I'm picking Louisville here. I think this Louisville team is very, very good, and Jeff Walls, he knows what he's doing. Also been to a Final Four, or at least one, right? He's been to at least one because they played South Carolina. But he knows what he's doing. A great coach. One of maybe the popcorn first rounds of this NCAA tournament is NC State and Tennessee.
Yeah.
NC State. Not an amazing year, 20-10, but still solid. They're kind of in like a transition period, I think, in their program. Tennessee, though, yikes. It's a nightmare, Jared. An absolute nightmare in Knoxville. 16-13, which I want to know what the worst record to get in for like an at-large team is in the tournament. But Tennessee, we knew they were getting in, but they've never missed a tournament. The Lady Vols, of course, they're a staple of the game, but it is a nightmare over there in Knoxville.
Yes.
They have not won a game in a long time.
Nightmare
They've lost
in Knoxville.
7 straight. A nightmare in Knoxville. They've lost 7 straight. But Jared, I've kind of been wondering, like, what are the vibes in Knoxville? But they looked very happy at their selection show when they showed them. They looked ecstatic to get in. They're a 10 seed. This is a popcorn game. But I don't know what to expect from Tennessee because it has been drama headlines almost every day this season. It's been crazy. So I don't know what the locker room is like for Tennessee right now. And that's hard for me to evaluate.
And when things are spilling out to us about locker room conditions, it's like, well, if this is what we hear about, imagine what we don't hear about.
Exactly. So NC State and Tennessee, I'm going to be honest, based on the way that Tennessee's played the past month and a half, 2 months, it's hard for me to pick them to win a game.
Against anyone.
Against anybody. NC State is a scrappy team. Wes Moore is a great coach. I mean, Kim Caldwell is as well, but I'm going to go Wolfpack here.
Same here.
And then I think a
deliver
lot of questions.
A graceful end to Tennessee's season.
Tough year. And also, these two opened the season against each other, by the way, in the very first game of the year. And NC State won that game by 1 point, I think.
I completely forgot about that.
So NC State, so they have played each other before. This is one of those rare rematches, but I don't see Tennessee. If Tennessee wins, great for them. The Lady Vol Nation, they need some positivity, but I'm picking NC State. And then Michigan's the 2 seed. I'm not going to lie. I think Michigan should have been a 3. I think Duke should have been a 2, but the committee giving Michigan this 2 seed. Michigan opens up against Holy Cross, but I will be picking Michigan here.
Same here.
But Jared, Michigan is one of those teams that they have a great resume, good resume. They don't have an amazing win. They've gotten a lot of credit this year for close losses.
Yes.
So take that what you will. But I do think this Michigan team is young. They're full of superstar sophomores. And I think this is a team that, if not this year, in the next 2 years, will be Final Four caliber.
Yes.
So then we got Texas. You have Texas, Oregon. I have Texas, Virginia Tech. But I am picking Texas either way.
Yes, same here.
And then we both have Kentucky, West Virginia. Who you got in this one? That atmosphere is going to be crazy.
That's
going to
be a fun
That's going to be fun.
game.
This is maybe one of the more fun second round games.
And I imagine the Kentucky fans, I'm not quite sure how far Lexington is from Morgantown, but I know it's not a crazy drive.
Not crazy.
So I imagine they'll have a good crowd there, but ooh, that one's a fun one. I like Kentucky in this one.
I'm going Kentucky too. Let me tell you what, I think Texas is not going to be happy Kentucky's in their section, but I have Kentucky upsetting West Virginia on their home floor. Sorry, Mountaineer people, but I do have West Virginia in my AP top 10. They're my number 10 for me. I have them higher than a lot of people. So West Virginia fans, don't hate me. But I have Kentucky upsetting them. I have Rhode Island, Louisville. You have Alabama, Louisville. But I'm big on this Louisville team, and I will be picking the Cardinals.
You know what? I'm going Alabama here.
Whoa.
Yeah, a little run.
Really?
Yes.
You got Bama?
Yes.
Really? Into the Sweet 16?
Bama to the Sweet 16.
Okay, let's go. Didn't you have them losing the first round of the SEC tournament?
Yes.
Things change. Things change. And then we both have NC State and Michigan. That NC State can be tricky, but I'll go Michigan here.
Yeah, I'm going Michigan here as well.
Okay, and then
Got
we both
firepower.
What'd you say?
Michigan team, they got firepower.
They got firepower. Then we both have Texas, Kentucky. Ooh, I'm tempted to pick an upset here. Ooh, it's. I'm gonna be honest. The top 4 have been so good this year. It's hard for me to pick against these number 1 seeds. It's hard. I don't know if anyone's gonna beat the 1 seeds. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
But man, Kentucky, Texas is tempting.
It's gonna be a scrappy game.
Scrappy. It's like one of those games where it could be 1 point, but Texas could also win by 25. It's just, I don't know. It depends on which versions of each team show up.
And that could be a very Texas thing,
Yeah, right. I'm going to pick Texas, but man, I'm tempted to pick Kentucky.
I'm picking Texas as well. It's going to be a fun game. I also don't know if it's going to be like, a 55-50 game or
or like 85 to 83.
I could see both of those happening as well.
Exactly. You have Alabama, Michigan.
Yes.
So who are you picking there?
Yes, I'm going Michigan. And low-key, I just realized I picked a college football, what was it, 2024 championship, whatever it was. No, I'm going Michigan here.
You are. I am going to pick Louisville to upset Michigan in the Sweet 16. I'm going to go Texas, Louisville in this Elite 8.
Yes. This is where our bracket really diverges against each other.
Yeah, right. You have Texas, Michigan?
Yes.
Who are you picking?
I'm going Texas there. I think Texas will make it back.
I'm going to
the
go
Final Four.
I'm not going to lie. I feel boring picking all number 1s.
I know.
But that's just been the theme of the year.
Yes.
It's been the theme of the year. I'm going to pick Texas. But I also, I said UConn got a tougher. I think Texas also got kind of a tough bracket.
Yeah.
These are tough teams in their section.
And I'm very okay if my bracket is busted.
Yeah,
by some
right.
Upsets. I welcome my bracket.
We do welcome the upsets. Okay, so we both have all number 1 seeds in the Final Four. Now we move on to Sacramento 4, and that is South Carolina's region.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina will open up against either Southern or Samford. Jared, I picked Southern. You picked Samford, but I think both of us will be picking South Carolina either way. Now, the first round game between Clemson and Southern Cal will be played again at 3:30 on Saturday at the CLA. This is interesting because Clemson's been playing well.
Yes.
Southern Cal, not so much. They are really, really struggling. And look, I'm going to pick Clemson. I'm picking Clemson to beat the Trojans, and we're going to get our first South Carolina Clemson NCAA tournament matchup ever.
Yes.
I'm picking the Tigers.
Yeah, I think if this were in another region, I'd probably pick Southern Cal. But, I mean, just with the history on the line, the rivalry, I mean, it's in Columbia, so the Clemson fans will be here.
And they don't have to travel far. Southern Cal's coming from the West Coast.
Yeah, and one thing Sean Poppy mentioned was that trip, it has an effect on you. I want Clemson, and I'm not sure we should say this on a South Carolina side, but I want Clemson to win this game.
You want to see the rivalry.
I love it.
That'd be a fun story.
Tournament?
Yeah,
that's awesome. So I'm picking Clemson.
That's fun. I hope we get that as well. Michigan State, who also is an underrated team, didn't have the best ending to the year, but they are a tricky team. They're the 5 seed in this region. They open up against the 12th seeded Colorado State, but I'm picking the Spartans here.
Same here.
And then we have the 4-seeded Oklahoma Sooners against the 13th-seeded Idaho, Idaho's 29-5. So good to see Idaho in here. But these 2 games will be played in Norman. But I'm gonna pick Oklahoma.
Same here. Going with the Sooners.
Look,
what do
Michigan
they say?
State,
Boomer Sooner?
Michigan State's tricky.
Yes.
Tricky. Okay. In Fort Worth, so this is in the 6th seed in South Carolina's region is Washington, who's been in and out of the top 25 all season long. Some good wins, some bad losses, a tricky back and forth team. They'll open up against the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, who are always under the radar. This is a fun one, Jared. I feel like I have a pattern. I feel like I'm picking the same seeds in every section, but I don't care. I'm gonna pick South Dakota State.
This is the biggest upset that I'm going with as well.
You're gonna pick the Jackrabbits too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I got South Dakota State. And then
big upset.
That's a big upset. And then TCU is the 3 seed in this section. Won the Big 12 regular season, got to the Big 12 tournament championship where they lost to West Virginia. Olivia Miles is their leader, their star. She's fantastic. A lot of talent on this team. TCU, though, Jared, a team again, that can beat a lot of teams. They can lose to anybody, but TCU doesn't have any amazing wins this year. So they've beaten who they, have needed to beat. But just keep that in mind. TCU doesn't have any top tier wins this season. They've just kind of been solid, solidly in that 8 to 14 range all season long. But TCU will open up against UC San Diego. And ironically, they're opening in Fort Worth, which is where TCU is, but they're not in the Fort Worth region.
They have to probably be the maddest team.
Yeah, I would be. But I'll pick TCU
they could have
here.
gotten an all Fort Worth
Right.
tournament, but yeah, I'm going TCU.
And then we have Georgia as the 7th seed. And Virginia and Arizona State. Did we both pick Arizona State there? Yeah. So Arizona, but I like this Georgia team, and I'm going to pick UGA to get out of that first round. And then Iowa will open up against Fairleigh Dickinson, who's 30-4. Again, if you're Iowa, any first round team you got to play that has 30 wins on the season is playing well. Yes. They're playing confidently. Iowa's going to be the favorite here, and Iowa City's a tough place to win.
Yeah.
They're going to be packed out 15,000 deep, but that's an interesting first round.
Yes.
That's one of those 15 seeds that you got to maybe keep your eye out on. But I'm going to pick Iowa here.
Same here. But Iowa is a tough place to play. Any sport.
Tough place.
It's tough to be there.
Okay, we have South Carolina, Clemson. Look, Clemson's gritty, but I don't have them beating South Carolina.
Yes.
You as well, you're picking the Gamecocks.
Yes.
Michigan State, Oklahoma. Look, when I said I think South Carolina's region is kind, but I also think this is maybe the region where there's upsets brewing. Yeah. I don't really necessarily trust the other seeds that are in South Carolina's region. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. These other top 2-3 seeds in the other regions, I'm kind of sold on. But Iowa can lose. They're a good team, but they also can lose to anybody. Yeah. TCU can have some unpredictable losses.
Yes.
Oklahoma can have bad days.
Yeah.
Michigan State can have bad days. Mm-hmm. This is a tough one to pick because if there are going to be some major upsets in the region, I think it's in this Sacramento 4 region. Mm-hmm. So I want Oklahoma. Do I pick chaos in the Sacramento 4 region? You know what? No, give me Oklahoma. They're going to be on their home floor. Give me Oklahoma. Yeah. Give me that South Carolina Oklahoma rematch.
And I love Reagan Beers as an anchor for that team.
Yeah.
I think she'll be big.
Michigan State, though, watch out for Michigan State. They are a tricky team. They got a lot of talent. So that's one. I would not be surprised to see the Spartans get out of that section if they are playing well. We both have TCU and South Dakota State. I'm going to pick TCU.
Likewise. Going Horned Frogs.
Okay, and then, I'm going to say this. Iowa has the toughest 7 seed. Georgia is good. Georgia's good. I mean, the other 7 seeds, like Vandy has Illinois, LSU has Texas Tech, Michigan has NC State. Georgia's good.
I agree. Yeah.
Georgia is a good 7 seed, and they have a great point guard, and they have good post players. They are tricky.
It's another one of those things like you mentioned. Iowa, when they're playing good, they play good.
Yeah, and shout out to Jan Jensen. They have what she's done with them this season has, because I also think Iowa's had a quietly good season. I don't think they've really gotten a lot of fanfare. Jared, oh man, this is tough. It's the home court advantage in the women's game is the difference a lot of times. I think if this were played on neutral floors like the guys, which I like the home court advantage, so I don't want that to change. I prefer it as well. It being in Iowa City is huge. If this was on a neutral court, I might favor Georgia. I don't know, just because I think Georgia is really good. And Iowa, I know Iowa fans, you guys are going to think because of all the history, I don't care about all of that. But I'm tempted to pick Georgia here.
I'm sticking with Iowa.
You're going to stick with Iowa? Iowa's had a really good season, especially when you look at the way they've dismantled Michigan this year. Came in 2nd in the Big Ten. I'm going to pick Iowa, but oh man, Georgia. Just know I'm a fan. I'm a fan, Georgia. Okay, so we both got South Carolina, Oklahoma, TCU, Iowa. Look, South Carolina, if they lost to Oklahoma twice this year, I'm going to eat some crow on this podcast, okay? Because if there's one game in this run that South Carolina is going to want to win, It's this Sweet
Yes.
16 over Oklahoma. The Gamecocks are not going to want to lose to Oklahoma twice in the season because that first game was a disaster. They let Oklahoma show out on them. It was a bad day at the office. I don't think South Carolina is going to lose again to the Sooners, and I think South Carolina is going to have something to say if they meet again.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go out on a limb and say I really don't think this will be particularly close. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I don't think
LSU put a beat down on Oklahoma at the SEC
I don't think
tournament.
we're getting fourth quarter runs overtime like we did last time. I don't think we're going to get Aaliyah Chavez shooting the lights out again. I think it will be a decently comfortable win for South Carolina.
Agreed. TCU and Iowa is interesting. This is a tough one to pick. Again, these are two unpredictable teams.
And it's interesting because it's the vets on both these teams have tournament experience, but in so much different settings than what the teams are now.
Agreed. Also, I know we talk about Olivia Miles, who is rightfully, gets her flowers. Most underrated player, one of the most underrated players in the game, Chit Chat Wright from Iowa. Love Chit Chat. Yeah. I love watching her play. She's so good. And so she's an exciting player, young player for you guys to watch. Who you got?
I'm going TCU here.
I think I'm leaning TCU as well, just because of the experience of Olivia Miles.
Yeah, she's a game changer.
She's a game changer. But Iowa's good. That's a tough one. But I have South Carolina going to the Final Four. Jared, we've got all four number one seeds. Okay, so all of our Final Four is set, and I think most people are going to have this Final Four because these four number one seeds have been so dominant this year. They have been a step above. There are some tricky candidates in here, but I don't know if I see it happening.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a repeat of last year's Final Four.
Yes.
So we have UConn, South Carolina, UCLA, and Texas. Whew, this is tough. Which
one are we starting with?
You know what? Let's start with UCLA, Texas.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, let's breathe a minute. Let's start with UCLA, Texas. Jared, Texas played so well at the SEC tournament. And they both, if this turns out, like if UCLA has to beat a couple of SEC teams, they might have to beat 3 SEC teams in a row to get to the national championship, which would also say a lot about this UCLA team if they were to do that. Texas might have to beat Kentucky, West Virginia, Louisville, Michigan. I mean, they both have some tough regions, but Texas is playing really, really well. So is UCLA. I mean, beating a top 10 team by 50 in the conference championship is quite a statement. Who do you have in this?
Man, this is
tough,
hard, especially because Texas.
They did play in November, by the way.
Yeah, and Texas has that win over them. And I think, okay, if I eliminate that Texas win out of my mind and, say these teams played 2 separate paths, I think I'm choosing UCLA, but I think of that Texas win over them and then also how Texas played in the SEC tournament. Big win over South Carolina. I think maybe even coaching battle, having Vic Schaefer, all the intangible things of this game, all the mental aspects is pointing me towards Texas. The on the floor things, the skill things, the team wise things points me to UCLA, but all those intangibles point me towards Texas. And I think because of that, I have to go with Texas.
You're going to go Texas.
I have to go with Texas.
It's interesting too because these are the two teams last year in the Final Four that did not have experience. They had to play the 2 powerhouses, and they both got beat pretty comfortably. So these two teams have now had experience on the big stage. UCLA ran through the Big Ten comfortably. I think Texas winning the SEC tournament was big for their psyche.
Yes.
Because
that's true.
They tied in the regular season last year, but South Carolina won the SEC tournament last year over them easily. They beat them convincingly in the Final Four. So it was kind of like Texas is like the second tier of the top tier. Always the bridesmaid. But this year, they've won 2 of the 3 on South Carolina. They beat UCLA. Texas has played a lot of good teams. This is tough. If they meet, who's going to take advantage of the moment?
Yeah.
Who's going to coach better? Who's going to have experience? UCLA too. Texas has some people coming back next year. UCLA is super senior heavy.
That's true.
This is kind of their shot. This is their shot because they'll be good, but they're not going to have all this talent. I mean, all their stars are seniors. They're all going to the WNBA. So UCLA is going to have this pressure of, we got to win now. We're not going to have another chance. Who's going to rise to the occasion? You got Madison Booker. You got Rory Harmon. You got Aaliyah Crump, who's really good. You got Justice Carlton. You got Lauren Betts. You got Kiki Rice. You have all of these great, great players. Who's going to step up in this game? You know, it's weird because the narrative of the season points us to UConn, UCLA for the for the season. But I think the SEC has been really good this year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick Texas too, Jared.
Okay.
I'm not confident. I'm not confident either way.
Yeah,
in that
neither
one
am
because I can pick UConn and South Carolina in a lot of scenarios because I trust the coaches who have done that before. Vic Schaefer has been to a Natty before. You know, he played a national championship game. UCLA, I don't know. These are two teams that I'm like almost have to show me something in March. So these are two teams that like could go all the way, could also lose in the Sweet 16. You know, like that's kind of how I feel about both of those teams. But they've both been really, really good this year. But I'm going to go Texas unconfidently. But also I say that about my entire bracket. So I'm going to pick the Longhorns there. And then we're dreading this conversation, Jared. Let's just keep it real. We're dreading this conversation about UConn and South Carolina, a rematch of the last year's national championship. I will say, what I find interesting about this UConn team, and I think they kind of get lost in the shuffle during the Big East because the Big East is not good and they beat everybody by 40 points. What's different about this UConn team to me is Paige was a huge loss, and I don't think people are kind of giving enough credit for the role Paige played last year. She is elite. She is so good. But last year's UConn team, I know people are going to say like they don't care if they're the number 1 seed. Last year they were the whatever seed and they beat 3 1 seeds to win it all, and that's a fair point. I don't care about last year. I do not care about last year. But last year's team, UConn team, did play the elite of the elite. Yeah. We saw them play South Carolina. We saw them play Juju and Southern Cal. We saw them play the upper echelon of the game. So we kind of had something to gauge them by. Like when they played South Carolina in the national championship, we all kind of said, UConn beat the daylights out of South Carolina. This might be rough for South Carolina, and that's what happened. You know, we had something to gauge them by. This year's UConn team is so good. Like, I want everyone to hear me when I say that. So good. But they have not played UCLA or Texas or South Carolina or Vanderbilt or LSU. They've played Michigan and they played Iowa. The Michigan game was really close. We saw that back in November, December. They beat Iowa pretty easily. Like, they have beaten good teams. But we have not seen them this year play the top tier. And we did see that last year. Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of like, when UConn plays another one of these elite teams who have all played, actually, it's interesting. UConn, UCLA are the only two that have not played anyone in the top 5. You know, so and they are the top 2 number 1 seeds. So when these two teams play the Texases and the South Carolinas and the LSUs, you know, like what are they going to look like? Right. That's what I'm interested in. And I know we cover the SEC, so we're kind of biased in the fact that we see these teams play so much. So that's why, like, if UConn plays Vanderbilt, I think UConn will win that game. But like, what will they look like against another top team? They could win by 30. You know, they could, like, easily could. But that's just what I'm interested in. I don't have anything to gauge this year's Huskies team against the other top, like, number 1 teams this year the way I did last year. Does that make sense? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I want to clarify. UConn is amazing. They're so good. They've been whooping people all year long. But I'm interested to see them play the other top tier teams and just see how they match up, because Paige was a huge part of last year's, you know, leadership-wise, just facilitating that team. They don't have that this year. So if they get into a rough moment, does Sarah step up? Does AZ Fudd step up? That's what I'm curious about. I'm also I want to see UConn play a competitive game, you know, just like selfishly for entertainment purposes. But I think if UConn and South Carolina play in the Final Four, UConn is the favorite. South Carolina fans, don't get mad at me when I say that. I just think that that's the way it is. I think South Carolina is I think the pendulum has swung. It was UConn was the dominant one. South Carolina came in for a few years and dominated the game. And last year, UConn has kind of taken it back. You know, like, these are the 2 dominant programs right now. And I think everybody would agree with that. But UConn has taken that back from South Carolina for the time being. Can South Carolina, like, if they played in the Final Four, this would be a big game for South Carolina to prove, that maybe not prove, but it would just be a big statement win because I think they're kind of back to being the underdog in this matchup right now. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I do think South Carolina would be the underdog in this game. They would also have a day's less rest because UConn will play their Elite Eight on March 29th. South Carolina will play theirs on March 30th. So, who you picking?
I don't know. This one is hard because
It's tough.
And
it's tough because we know people want us to pick South Carolina.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it real.
We have to do our journalistic duty and stay true to what we believe. But genuinely, like a lot of things with UConn that I do believe, I don't know if this team, I think of the undefeated teams in the past, not just the UConn teams, but in general. They're great, but I don't know if they strike me as an undefeated team.
It's tough.
So I'm like, I do see them as the overall favorite for the tournament, but I'm also like, they don't feel like the undefeated teams that we know of the past. And it's partly because, when you think about their best wins, their best win being a Michigan or Iowa, they maybe don't have a better win than Vanderbilt does.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Actually, I'd say Vanderbilt's best wins are better than UConn's best wins as a whole. So when it's like, you look at that, it's like, okay, do we really know that they're even much better as a team than a Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
I think they are, but do we definitively know that? Not really.
Yeah. Good.
But just because they are such a strong team and they do have a lot of what they had last year, and Sarah Strong,
she's a game changer,
player of the year contender,
and the reigning Final Four most outstanding player in AZ Fudd.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone has an answer to those two yet. I really don't. So as much as it does pain me, and don't get me wrong, like if we see something different,
no shock.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked.
No.
And had South Carolina beat Texas, I think I had them as my national champion at that point if they won that game, because they looked great up to that point.
Yeah.
But based off recent events and the season as a whole, I'm going to have to go with UConn here.
I'm going to pick UConn as well. South Carolina fans, don't get mad at me. But, I think UConn would be the favorite. I think South Carolina, and I also think, Jared, like South Carolina's starting five can't have off days like they did in the SEC Tournament Championship because they're so starting five reliant. The starting five has to come to play. I think UConn has a bit more depth this year, and that might be the difference. Can South Carolina win that game? Absolutely. No shock. I would be shocked at any version of these top four in the national championship. No combination would surprise me because those four have been so good. But I do think UConn is the favorite until proven otherwise. And we'll see if someone can prove otherwise.
Yes.
And that's the fun of March. We both have UConn and Texas in the final, which I didn't see coming. I didn't think I was going to pick Texas.
I initially, I thought I was probably picking UCLA.
Were you?
Yeah. But I don't know. Once I got here, I was like,
I'm
Texas.
picking UConn to win the tournament. I think they're the favorite to win until proven otherwise. And I know that is, maybe the boring choice, but there's been a lot of number one overall seeds who have won this tournament in the past, including South Carolina just a couple of years ago. So I'm picking UConn over Texas in the national championship. I do think the top four number ones are the heavy favorites to get to the Natty. All I know is I don't want to see South Carolina, Texas again. I'm just going to say that. I don't want to see it again.
I think it would be funny.
Yeah, it would be funny.
It would be hilarious.
And it's funny that we have kind of similar-ish brackets to each other when we really did not talk about this or look at this together at all before this. But we both have UConn, Texas, with UConn winning.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. We'll see if South Carolina, because they are kind of in an underdog role now as the fourth number one. I think when they were the third number one, they were kind of put on a little bit more of a pedestal. The fourth number one, I think they're I think all eyes, I think all the bright lights are on UConn, UCLA, and Texas. I think they're kind of the shiny objects right now that everybody wants to, see if they can win. I think South Carolina may be a bit of an underdog at this point. I think they're in a good region. I think people can say, oh, crap, they're on UConn's half. You get to the Final Four, you're going to have to beat somebody good. That's the name of the game. You're going to have to just put your shoes on, lace them up, and go. It doesn't matter who you play. In the Final Four or the Natty, you're going to have to beat an elite team.
Yes.
We'll see what South Carolina can do. This is the first time, by the way, in years I have not picked South Carolina to win. So that says something, too, that I've been consistent with South Carolina. But I think UConn is the overwhelming maybe not overwhelming favorite. They're the favorite
Yeah.
to win this tournament, and we'll see if anybody can play spoiler. Jared, this has been a lengthy episode. I hope you guys all enjoyed us geeking out. I think it's past midnight now that we've been rambling and jambling about all of this. But Jared, any final thoughts about what stands out to you as we wrap this up? And for those of you who have followed along, listened the whole way, watched the whole way, we thank you. And we hope you guys have filled out your bracket along with us.
Yes, I do have a final thought, and it's something
Tell me.
almost kind of completely unrelated to the bracket this year. I do think the unfortunate part of this year, I think Ashlyn Watkins is the Sarah Strong stopper.
Oh, okay.
I had that random thought. I just have to put it out.
That's true.
and
She
this
wasn't on the floor last year for the Natty either.
And she won't be this year, but I think she's her size, speed, strength, length.
Defense, rebounding, all that kind of
I
stuff.
think she's the Sarah Strong stopper. So
Okay.
I hope we get to see her next year
Yeah.
in this matchup because I want to see if my theory is correct.
Agreed. I think South Carolina has a really kind region. I'm looking forward to seeing how all the number 1 seeds handle this. Will they all get to the Final Four? Will we see those same 4 back? Will someone play spoiler? Will we get a Cinderella? Will we see a lot of upsets? Because there have been so many upsets this year
Yeah.
every week. Will the bracket protect the seeds? Or will we see some upsets? I'm looking forward to seeing it all go down. Again, if you guys stayed with us through this whole episode, we appreciate you because we are sports nerds. We're basketball junkies. And we hope you enjoyed us filling out this entire bracket together. I can't believe we picked the same thing.
I know.
Because we didn't with the SEC tournament. We actually both kind of, our brackets were terrible at the
Yes.
SEC tournament, so maybe that's a sign of things to come. But as always, thank you guys for watching and listening. Again, we will have episodes every single day for practices, preview days, which is the day before the rounds, and game day recaps during the NCAA tournament for South Carolina women's basketball. Jared, this is fun. Let's go get some sleep, my man.
I know.
It's going to be a long
Yes.
week. And again, it all starts on Saturday for South Carolina in their first round at 1 o'clock against either Southern or Samford. He's Jared Parker. I'm Matt Dowell. This has been our elite official bracket breakdown of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. As always, make sure you guys like and subscribe, rate us on YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcast on Apple, Spotify, or Amazon Music. He's Jared. I'm Matt. We will see you on Friday for a preview episode of South Carolina's first round of the NCAA tournament.